This is lesson 15, part 2, and we're going to continue practicing together and reviewing what we've learned so far. We develop ease and genuine skill by practicing. The first step of learning to read music is, of course, understanding the notation and the concepts involved, but genuine fluency is only going to come when we practice applying those skills. Just as with basic math facts, at first each fact might need to be worked through thoughtfully. In time we memorize them, and then more time goes by practicing those facts and we build speed and proficiency. When you think of practicing, I want to encourage you to aim for 6 out of 7 days a week and aim low for duration, high for frequency. Ideally, the same time every day. Set the bar super low. 3 minutes is fine. Treat it like brushing your teeth. It's a daily non-negotiable, and you will see progress over time. Remember that in everyday life, we measure duration in seconds, minutes, and hours. In music, we measure duration in beats and subdivisions of those beats. It's a recurring pulse in music, and just like a second hand on a clock, it is predictable and it's independent of anything else going on around it. Well, beat itself is actually not visible on a score. When we see note and rest values on a music score, those are representing the rhythm. They're telling us when to start and stop pitches or sounds, and when to start and stop silences or rests. Remember that rhythm is absolutely dependent on a beat to be realized. If we know that a note value is going to be worth 3 beats, but we don't know how fast or slow that pulse is, we still can't perform that note. So rhythm is dependent on beat or pulse to be realized. We'll continue working with the Gordon rhythm syllables. So we'll continue to say do for a 1-beat note, do for a 2-beat note, do for a 3-beat note. When we do half-beat notes, we're going to usually group them in pairs for now, and we're going to say do, day. So do falls on the beat, and day is exactly splitting that beat in half. So do, day, do, day, do, day, do, day. We're going to set the metronome at 85, so 85 beats per minute, and we're going to be grouping the beats into 3s. One, ready, clap. And we're going to say 4 3-beat notes in a row. 1, ready, go. Do, 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 do. Do that again. 1, ready, go. Do, 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 do. For the instrumentalists watching this, you might want to consider at this point, instead of putting the beat in your hands, put the beat in your foot or in both your feet if you want to march, and then put the rhythm that I'm either dictating or that we're reading together on a single pitch on your instrument, so that you start working on that connection of getting your hands or fingers to realize the rhythm instead of your mouth. Some people find it's helpful to first vocalize the rhythm and then play the rhythm. Some people find it helpful to vocalize and play the rhythm. Any combination of those steps can be helpful. Continuing with our metronome at 85, grouping our beats into 3s, we're going to say a 2-beat note followed by a 1-beat rest. We're going to do that pattern 4 times. Remember that our pulse continues in our hands through those rests. 1, ready, clap. 1, ready, speak. Do, 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 do. Do that again. 1, ready, speak. Do, 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 do. Continuing metronome at 85 beats grouped into 3s. We're going to say 2 pairs of half-beat notes. So do, day, followed by a 1-beat note. So it'll sound like this. Do, day, do. Okay? So we're going to put the beat in our hands. We're going to do that 4 times. 1, ready, clap. 1, ready, speak. Do day, do day, do. 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 And again. 1, ready, speak. Do day, do day, do. 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 Remember that the time signature contains 2 very important bits of decoding information that the composer shares with us. The top number tells us how many beats there are in a measure. Each measure will have the same number of beats. And the bottom number tells us what kind of note gets a beat. So which note value has been designated as the beat or pulse note. We're going to work through some examples of how decoding time signatures together. So first of all, we'll just read this as 2/4 time. That's how we could say it, or we could say the time signature is 2/4. The top number will tell us that there are 2 beats per measure. The bottom number, we could think of it as the denominator of a fraction, and that will remind us that a quarter note or rest is going to be the beat note. It's going to be equal to 1 beat. So that would mean then, if we look at our pyramids down here, that a quarter note or quarter rest will be worth 1 beat, and a half note or half rest will be held for 2 beats. A whole note, which is worth twice as much as a half note, or a whole rest, worth twice as much as a half rest, will be worth 4 beats, and then an eighth note or eighth rest would only be held for half a beat. And then looking at the next example down here, this would be read as 3/4 time, or the time signature is 3/4. The top number would tell us that there are 3 beats per measure. And the bottom number, again, we think of it as the denominator of a fraction. It again would say that a quarter note, and I'll write it this way this time, a filled-in note with a stem, is equal to 1 beat. And of course, we can use the exact same pyramid that we just did. Moving on to 2/2 time, or the time signature is 2/2. The top number tells us there are again 2 beats in a measure, but this time we can think of it as the denominator of a fraction. This 2 would be the denominator of a fraction. That's going to tell us that a half note is going to be equal to 1 beat. That's our beat or pulse note. So again, we can return to our pyramid, and we can assign 1 beat to half notes or half rests. That means a whole note will get 2 beats. A quarter note will be our half beat note. And then an eighth note will only get a quarter of a beat, or an eighth rest will only be held for a quarter of a beat. And looking at our next example, 4/2. So again, the top number will tell us that there are 4 beats per measure. And again, thinking of the 2 as being the denominator of a fraction, that will remind us that a half note, open note head with a stem, will be equal to 1 beat. So again, we don't need to redo our pyramid because we will have the same result. Our final 2 examples, 3/8 time, or the time signature is 3/8. The top number tells us that there are 3 beats per measure. The bottom number, we could think of that as the denominator of a fraction, and that will remind us that an eighth note is going to be the beat or pulse note. It will receive 1 beat, so we can return to our pyramids down here. Say 1 beat per eighth note, which means a quarter note or rest, which is worth twice as much as an eighth note or eighth rest, will receive 2 beats. A half note would get 4, and a whole note would get 8 beats. Last example here, 6/8 time. Top number will tell us that there are 6 beats per measure. The bottom number, again, denominator of a fraction, reminds us that an eighth note, which we draw as a filled-in note head with a stem and a flag, is our beat note. And again, the pyramid will be interpreted the same way, so we don't need to redo that.
briefly reviewing some of our written symbols. Remember that the staff consists of 5 lines and 4 spaces that we count from the bottom to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. A treble clef would start on line 2, bump up to line 3, down to line 1, up and around, back down again. We can call this the treble or G clef because this curly Q action around line 2 helps us to remember that if we were to place a note head right on line 2, it would be called a G. From there, we'll be able to realize the other pitches. We also have the bass clef or F clef, which starts on line 4 of the staff, bumps up to line 5, down to line 2, like half a heart. Dot in space 4 and 1 on space 3. Those points highlight line 4. If we were to draw a note head there, it would be called an F, and that's why this is called the bass or F clef. From there, we can decode all the other pitches. We'll return now to working with our rhythm workshop by Sally K. Albert. We are on exercise 2 of our 4/4 time section. One thing I'll just highlight while we're here is that these are bar lines. On a normal 5-line staff, they'll go all the way from the top to the bottom, but we don't need that right now because we're not playing any specific pitches. Remember that bar lines will separate groups of beats, and the area between bar lines is called a bar or a measure. And we can number these bars or measures to help us find our spot in the music. So this would be bar 1, bar 2, bar 3, bar 4, bar 5, etc. So beginning by looking at our time signature, 4/4 time, the top number tells us there are 4 beats per measure. And the bottom number tells us, thinking of it as the denominator of a fraction, that a quarter note will be our beat or pulse note. It'll be worth 1 beat or 1 pulse. Likewise, a quarter rest will be held for 1 beat worth of silence. So we can look at our note and rest value pyramid over here and assign now 1 beat to quarter notes and quarter rests, 2 beats to half notes and half rests, 4 beats to whole notes and whole rests, and half a beat to an 8th note or an 8th rest. I've set the metronome to 80. We're going to put that beat into our hands or into your foot if you'd prefer as an instrumentalist, and then we're going to either speak or play the rhythm we see on the page. 1, 2, ready, clap. 1, 2, ready, speak. Do, 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 do. We'll continue with example 2. Remember that the beat or pulse continues through every rest we see, and we only have quarter notes and quarter rests on this page, so all the notes or rests we see will be worth just 1 beat. Beat in our hands or feet, ready, go. One, two, ready, speak. Do, 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 do.
In the next part of this lesson, I will be focusing almost exclusively on just reading through lots of different rhythm examples. So if you're feeling at all rusty on the note and rest value pyramids or any of the material we've covered up until now, I would just go back and review those videos.